I mean, modern ballpark food, it's a hard thing to describe because you look at hot dogs and hamburgers, how can you elevate hot dogs and hamburgers? And something that me and David have really kind of gone bat to bat with is just elevating the food that we already have, if not making it better. So coming up with, different hot dogs and hamburgers that are very personal.
Hey there, Omaha. Welcome into another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and baseball and food are tied together at the hip. There is nothing more American than eating a hot dog or a brat while you are rooting on your favorite team on a summer day. But today, ballpark eats are so much more than popcorn and Cracker Jacks, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So joining me are the chefs from Werner Park, David Schmitz and Joey Alonso. Guys, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So because we've got multiple voices, multiple personalities here, I'd love for each of you to just introduce yourself, maybe say your role with the team and how long you've been with Werner Park.
Well, I'll start off. My real name is actually Jose Alonso. I'm Hispanic, but I go by Joey to everybody because that's what I'm known as. But my role is executive chef. I'm the executive chef of here at Werner Park. I've been here for a short 3 months, but the 3 months, honestly, we have done a lot. And I'm really excited to see what we've got going on for the rest of the season.
I am David Schmitz. This is my second year out of the park. I'm the concession manager, and I really love being out here. I love the atmosphere. And like Joey said, I'm really excited about the future we've got going on here, about the stuff that our company in the ballpark is allowing us to do, which is a little bit different. I mean, I know we have some fancier major league clubs that's got a high elevated menu, and they're allowing us to do some of that here. So hopefully we'll be able to elevate the food here and make it a more interesting and enjoyable experience for the next few years to come.
And that is exactly what I want to talk about, because I think on the surface, when most people think of ballpark food, they're thinking hot dogs, brats, pretzels, things of that nature. But it's really these last 5 or 10 years, the idea of ballpark food and what you can enjoy during a game has become elevated. When you guys think about modern ballpark food, how do you define it?
Really, I mean, it just depends. Modern ballpark food, it's a hard thing to describe because you look at hot dogs and hamburgers, how can you elevate hot dogs and hamburgers? And something that me and David have really kind of gone bat to bat with is just elevating the food that we already have, if not making it better. So coming up with, different hot dogs and hamburgers that are very personal, and stuff that we like to eat, and, the rest of Omaha.
Okay,
Pavilion.
Give me some examples of that. What are some hot dogs and hamburgers that people can experience here that have that personal touch on them?
And David can let you know on that, but our hot dog menu here at Hot Dog Nation, a lot of them are actually named after employees of here at Werner Park.
Really?
Yeah, because they designed those hot dogs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, actually the Skylar dog is the Philly dog, and she was just running around. Oh, she's right there. She's actually at the lemonade cart. That was last year. I wanted to bring in some personal touches, so I started naming the dogs after people, and I started asking them, if you're going to eat a hot dog and you don't want a normal hot dog, what would you put on it? And hers was a Philly dog. And then we've got Tate's Mac and Cheese Crunch, which is like an appetizer. That is for Anita Tate here in the Chasers, who she loves that. So, I wanted to bring that personal feel of what people like, of what people want to eat, and I hate to say we kind of advertise it that way, but it kind of gives you that personal feel if you're seeing, John Smith's hot dog rather than, enjoy Hebrew National or whatever. It gives that more personal touch, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. How did you come up with that strategy? Because I've never seen that at a restaurant or a ballpark before.
Well, for me, last year I struggled. When I got here, we didn't even have the Chicago dog. And so for me, it got me thinking, Werner Park needs to come up with its own creation. And so I looked at all the ballparks. I looked at the major leagues, the minor leagues, and they all had pig ears or elephant ears or some form of their own specialty dog, and I couldn't come up with anything. So instead, I turned Hot Dog Nation into a Subway where you can go and you can get whatever the heck you want on a hot dog, anywhere from ham and sauerkraut to, we have one customer who literally puts 9 toppings on a hot dog, and none of them fit, none of them match. So instead of doing a signature dog, I did a signature stand where you can go and build what you want. You can build what you like. What your dad and you had as a kid, because he had that weird sauerkraut taste that he wanted with, spicy mustard. Well, go get it. So instead of a signature dog, we did a signature stand, and out of that, we started creating the signature items based on what people like and what people like to eat.
Okay, let's talk about these signature items that our live audience right now is eating. Let's start with the cheesy brisket sandwich. What was kind of the thinking behind bringing that to the ballpark? Like, what excited you guys about that idea? I like that you're laughing. There must be a story there. I hope so.
So, my wife is an immigrant. She is not used to American food. And so my kids have grown up eating fufu and gari, and I don't want to explain all that, but it's West African cuisine. And so my kids are weird. They will eat something you've never seen before, but they won't eat mac and cheese.
Really?
Or they wouldn't eat mashed potatoes. So one thing I know they liked is cheese, and one thing I know they liked is barbecue. So to try to get them to eat new things, I did this in my house, and they love it. So one day I was looking for an item here, and I said, it couldn't be that bad. So I started it at the Philly cart, and we sold 23 in one day. I said, all right, well, maybe there's something to this. And this year I brought it full force, and now they're probably one of the most popular items out of here. But it was truly born just trying to find something for my kids to eat because they wouldn't eat normal things. So kind of a dumb story, but that's how that one started.
But, tell me about this because, I mean, again, we're talking about elevating ballpark food. Like, you might expect to find a grilled cheese sandwich, but with brisket. Tell me about this. How did you elevate this and say, yes, we're going to give you something that you might expect to find at the ballpark, but we're going to elevate it. We're going to take it to that next level.
Right, and I think what elevates it and takes it to the next level is smoking it in-house. Not a lot of ballparks can say that you smoke your own meats in-house.
Oh, absolutely not.
And so actually this brisket smoked for about 8 hours, and we did it this morning.
Dude, that's awesome. So there's a smoker here on campus?
Yeah, we have a smoker, and we have right now it has a mix of pellets and wood chips in it. And it just gives it that more defined smoky flavor. So,
and it gives you a value, too, because you're able to have, barbecue is expensive. And it kind of gives you that down-home taste. But if you go to some, I just moved back from Houston. If you go to some restaurants, they've got this stuff. They've got elevated barbecue where you can get everything from the flatbreads or the flatbreads with seafood and barbecue. So it's just kind of a Nebraska touch that we thought was a mix of comfort food and elevation that, would make people happy. And then, like he said, with smoking in-house, if we don't like the flavor of the brisket, we'll change it. If we want an apple smoked something, we'll change it. So, we have that availability not to have to deal with vendors, not to have to deal with anything. We can actually start one from the creation.
Yeah, and the one thing that stays consistent about the smoked brisket is the seasoning. It is a blend that my sous chef and myself created, and we've been using it for months. And it's honestly one of the best blends that I've ever had in my 10 professional years that I've been doing this as a chef, and it's probably one of the best rubs I've ever had.
Okay. So that's something I want to talk to you guys about. Take me through the R&D process. Like when you say, hey, we want to put a smoked brisket grilled cheese on the menu, what is the process like from having that ideation to the point where it's on the menu and customers can have it?
Probably rice bowl would be a better example of this.
Okay, yeah, let's go to the rice bowl.
So, healthy food at ballparks are usually a stand with carrots and some kind of processed something or prepackaged something. For me, I always thought this is you can do it vegan, chicken, steak, and I always thought it was a nice idea. So, my education only goes so far in this world when it comes to culinary arts. And so what I know is I want something, I can create it backyard, I can do a few things. What I can do now is I can go to the chef and I can say, I want to create this. I'm thinking this, this, and this. How would you tie that together? What do you think? And then he falls back, on all those years of education and all the places he's cooked on, and he adds, it may be a simple, small thing like, the tomatillos or that sauce, but it completely changes the whole product. So in a collaboration, we'll discuss back and forth. He has this crazy idea for a dessert. I thought it was insane. The more he talked about it, he created something, and you'll see the dessert here in a little bit. But we're going to run with it next year, so that item's not even out yet.
Oh, boy. We're getting a sneak peek here.
Right.
Exclusive.
So, we just bounce ideas back and forth together, and, with my crazy ideas, his knowledge, and then we make a lot of bad food before we make some good food.
It happens.
Well, what's typically that period of time? I'm sure it changes for every item, but on average, from you guys coming together, bouncing crazy ideas off one another, saying, yes, let's try this, until it hits a menu.
To be honest, the rice bowl actually had the least amount of turnaround time, because when I interviewed,
probably 10 minutes, yeah.
David said, hey, do you have a salsa recipe? And I'm like, I'm Mexican. Of course I do. And it's actually my dad's tomatillo salsa recipe. I roast everything by hand over our grill in the kitchen, and I blend it. I make fresh salsa every week for the stand.
See, this is the kind of stuff that I absolutely love, and that I'm so happy that we're getting to talk about, because I think when most people come to the ballpark, they're thinking they're getting a bunch of frozen hamburgers. They're getting, whatever, national brand of hot dogs or whatever. You guys are putting your personal recipes, like we've talked about in both these dishes. There are personal stories with your families that are influencing them. I absolutely love that. And Joey, I want to get into your background a little bit, because you said you've been cooking for 10 years.
Professionally for 10 years, but I've been cooking since I was a kid.
Professionally for 10 years, only 3 months here. I believe you had a previous stint at Universal Studios.
I did.
Which I'm fascinated in. Can you kind of take me through your cooking journey? What got you into cooking originally?
Honestly, it just goes back to my family. My grandma and my dad are both they're immigrants, so I'm a product of immigrants. And I just think that them coming from nothing to give us everything, you had to work with what you had. So just the limited amount of food that they had growing up, and just the recipes that we turned them into, that's really what started it all. And so I'm a cliche. I'm that person that grew up in the kitchen with my grandma and grew up in the kitchen with my dad, and it stuck. And so as a kid, I always knew that I wanted to be a chef, and here I am 27 years later, and I'm an executive chef.
My friend, you are smoking brisket at a ballpark and making homemade tomatillo salsa. You are not a cliche in any way, shape, or form. But tell me a little bit, is most of your experience been in restaurants, or what was the path that led you here to Omaha, Nebraska, working at Werner Park?
To be honest, it's really hard to describe, because I've been everywhere. I grew up in Los Angeles. I moved here to Omaha, and then I moved to Orlando, and then I moved back to Los Angeles, then I moved back to Omaha. So I've been kind of everywhere.
You're a nomad, man.
In the last 7 years, I've been all over. And actually, what took me to Orlando is I actually also worked for Walt Disney World.
Oh, really?
And their amusement parks down there. So I'm very familiar with large-scale production and, doing it. Fortunately enough, our capacity isn't the capacity of an amusement park where they're in the tens of thousands, but it definitely, when we do hit that capacity, it's that experience has definitely prepared me for it.
How so?
It's just trying not to run around with, like a chicken with your head cut off, I'd say. But I can definitely pull off a lot in a short amount of time.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about these two different hot dogs here, because we were talking about hot dogs earlier. Are these chef creations, or are these employees coming up with some crazy stuff?
So the Philly came from Skylar, one of the Chasers, and then the Jabba Dog came from last year. I would theme the food, and I would create new food items for every theme we had. So, for instance, we had Marvel Night, and there's only so many certain names we can come up with, so I came up with something for that. For Star Wars Night, I created a whole menu, drinks, food, the whole thing, and it was big, and it was sloppy, and it was messy, so therefore it got called the Jabba Dog. So it wasn't so much the ingredients, it was more the idea of a big sloppy hot dog mixed with Star Wars. It just came out. It's just, mixing again two flavors that I would eat on a plate as a kid and putting them onto one item and bringing it together. So it really just came out of thinking I need something big and sloppy. What tastes good that's big and sloppy on a hot dog?
Again, though, I hear like the through line of our conversation is there's a personal story tied to that.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that you would eat as a kid. How important is it to you guys that you're not just mass producing food, or you're trying to think about food that what can we sell the most of, but we're bringing our personal stories, we're bringing our history, we're bringing our families into this food as well?
You know, and it just goes back to elevating food for a ballpark. You go to a ballpark and you're expecting a hot dog with some ketchup and mustard. If you want to get crazy, you're going to put relish on it. You know, and so it's just like, what can we do a step further? What can we bring people back? And if it's not the experience, it's the food. You know, we want people to talk about the food. You know, it's just like, oh God, I went to Werner Park and I had the most amazing cheesy brisket grilled sandwich. Why was it so good? It's because we smoke it in-house.
Are there any particular menu items that you feel like you hear about a lot? Like you get that feedback from fans where you're just like, I was not expecting this when I came to the ballpark today.
It's a lot of the cheesy brisket, and now that we've got we had a few fumbles with the rice bowls with what we wanted to do. Now that we've got it dialed in, a lot of the rice bowls are getting a lot of attention. So the two top ones are probably these right now.
The chicken and the steak.
Yeah, of what we've got coming out, and then we have more stuff coming out at the end of the year for some theme nights. A big giant. I work with Rotella, and Rotella was cool enough to dye 800 red buns for us. So for Marvel Night, we'll be rolling out again, kind of like the Jabba Dog, a big nasty hamburger to be themed off Marvel Night, and then we got crazy and went the other way, and we changed the hamburgers we have out here too. After working with Omaha Steaks, we've got a brand new hamburger out. There's actually a guy right under that sign way back there who's actually grilling all of our hamburgers that everybody will be eating tonight. They're no longer cooked on flat tops in stands. They're now cooked on a grill back there and then finished off in the stands. So they're actually made fresh, cooked on a grill. They're a different hamburger that we just started last week. So that's brand new to give a more, again, like I said, elevated, better flavor. Yep. Now, if we want in the future, we can roll in blue cheese into the burger. We can do mushrooms. We can do egg. We can do a lot of different stuff because we're not taking up our flat top time with these hamburgers. So we're doing a lot of different things.
So when you bring these ideas to Werner Park and you say, we want to bring in a smoker, we want to bring in a grill so we can be grilling burgers like right before people order them. What was that response? Were they just like gung-ho, or were they like, whoa, this is a little bit different?
Well, it takes a lot of convincing and begging.
Yeah?
That one right there sitting at the table tells me no about 95% of the time until Joey and I tag team, and then we eventually break her down and she lets us do these things. Within reason.
Within reason, right. Yes. So what is the balance for you guys between offering awesome stuff like this, but then there are also going to be people who come to a game and just want a Chicago dog, or their kids who are just going to want, a simple basket of nachos? What's the balance between creating this awesome elevated food, but also having like the old standbys if that's what people want too?
It's making sure the base is the same.
Okay.
So, for instance, at the stand next to us, if you just want nachos with jalapenos, chips, and cheese, go get them. If you just want a basic hot dog, you can get them at all three stands. Go get it. So that base remains the same, but with the option of the things we have in-house and the things we can create to do something new and to go the extra mile. So as long as we have the base and the staples, we're in great shape.
So I did a little bit of research coming into this and went and looked at some things that at least MLB stadiums are offering this year. And I mean, it's kind of what we talked about. It's elevated food now. It's sushi boxes, poutine, birria egg rolls, Nashville hot chicken sandwiches, Detroit-style pizza. How much are you guys monitoring what other stadiums and what other teams are doing and maybe drawing inspiration from that?
I look every week.
Yeah.
So every week I'll go with the top 50 or the top 10 at the ballparks. I've reached out to a couple of my friends that live in the cities, like St. Louis, Chicago, L.A., Houston, obviously, and they tell me what they like and they tell me why they like it. And then I try to figure out a Nebraska version. Then once I've got that, I come to him, and then we finish it off. So
what do you mean by a Nebraska version?
Well, like the Reuben. So we've always had a Reuben Philly, but we've never actually had the Reuben sandwich. So now we do. So, it's bringing that stuff in. But there is a way, like a poutine, Like, I've thought about that for a lot, but how do we make it
Nebraska-fied?
How do you make it Nebraska-fied?
Yeah.
How do we make it down home? How do we make it signature for our location? Because we can recreate anything from any of these ballparks, but then it's just a copy. Here, we want to create our version and our sense of what it is. So it is taking, again, those bases of these ideas and then trying to either create them our way or coming up with a new version of it altogether to make sure that, Nebraska still stays Nebraska.
Why is it so important for you guys to personalize it? Because I bet, if you executed some of those things I just listed, people would probably go for it, but you guys want to go that extra step and you want to draw Nebraska into it as well. What gives you that drive to go that extra step?
I think personally it's just getting guests and, people keep coming back. You go to all these ballparks or, and it's always the same. It's hot dogs, hamburgers, nachos, and now we're not only elevating the food, but we're personalizing it. We try to get everybody something that somebody wants. We don't target a specific audience. We target everybody, right? And so it's just like, somebody, who's walking a different walk of life from somebody else who loves, barbecue pulled pork. Oh, am I going to get that at a ballpark? You sure are. Here at Werner Park, we're going to slap it on a hot dog, we're going to slap it on a burger. And we're just trying to cater to everybody, and if we're crazy enough to come up with it, somebody else is crazy enough to eat it.
I love that. Now, among my research, I also found stadiums that were offering pierogi grilled cheese sliders, Dungeness crab pizzas, and there was a split bun stuffed with fried lobster tails and clams. Bottom line, there were some things that made me go, what are we doing here? Is it possible to take ballpark food and go too far with it to the point where it's just like, what is this even?
I personally don't think we can go far enough.
Really?
I think that we can come up with the craziest things, and we can, try to cater it to whoever as much as possible. I mean, and the dessert that's going to come here at the end that we're launching next year is probably our dream baby that we created. And it's not as elevated as that, but we're going to try to make it as elevated as possible.
So you guys' parent club, the Kansas City Royals, Kauffman Stadium, actually announced yesterday they were creating something called the K-Taco, which is a hot dog wrapped in a cheeseburger quesadilla with barbecue brisket, french fries, lettuce, onions, sriracha Cracker Jacks, and 816 sauce.
Oh, my God.
Will we ever see anything like that at Werner Park?
I don't know, David?
Okay, well, let me tell you real quick the theory behind all this is can we make this food in a good amount of time where people aren't waiting in line for hours?
Yes.
Do we have the infrastructure to be able to do that? And the answer is we're some of the way there. As we go year for year, as we bring in new equipment, as we bring in new things, then I have to echo Chef, who says we can't make a stand that makes that one item, that you can get that, water, chips, and a pretzel, and that stand sits somewhere over here so it doesn't affect the major stands. So the answer is we're getting there. We just need the right equipment to execute. And then, who knows, we maybe have filet mignon at Werner Park one day.
Woo. Here we go.
Yeah.
So I think one of the really fun things about eating at a ballpark is you're sitting in the stands and somebody comes and sits down, in your general section, and you see something that you didn't know because, the ballpark is spread out and you can get different kinds of food everywhere. So all of a sudden you're just like, whoa, what is that? How important is presentation when you're putting ballpark food together?
I'm all about presentation, and I actually, when we were rolling the rice bowls out there, I went back there and there's probably 5 or 6 different cooks back there, and I showed each individual one exactly how I wanted it done. Because one thing that we take pride on is quality. We want to make sure that everybody is getting the exact same amount. We want to make sure that everything looks good. You eat with your eyes first, and so I think that's one of our biggest things is making sure not only does it taste good, but looks good as well.
But people also have to be able to walk around with it. They have to be able to eat it on their lap. Mm-hmm. How do you balance presentation and portability?
I think that's very easy, especially, and David will agree, is just we make sure that any of the plates or boats or containers that we use, that it fits well in, not only in my hand, but it could in a six-year-old, 6-year-old's hand.
Yeah, we went through nine of the rice bowl containers before we found the right one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've got so many single cases of containers back there that we keep trying new things to figure it out, just to make sure, like you said, this is something very compact. It will fill you up, and it's low profile. So hopefully you should be able to eat this in your lap in a ballpark and still cheer. That we do think about that a lot. So it's more looking at the containers and figuring out how do we utilize the container the best way, even if we've already got the menu planned. So unfortunately, it's a lot of clicking through computers to find the right thing.
Now, I loved so much when you guys chose the different items that you were going to offer and showcase tonight, that one of them was the steak bowl. Because I think when people think about coming to the ballpark, they're thinking it's a cheat meal. They're thinking it's going to be a hot dog topped with a bunch of stuff. They're thinking it's going to be grilled cheese. It's going to be a hamburger. But people are more health conscious now than ever these days. What's the balance between creating kind of these, monstrous dishes that are, really going to fill you up and stick to your ribs, but also having these healthy options? How much do you consider that as you're putting menus together?
I have to consider it a lot because we have gluten allergy, peanut allergy, celiac. We have just a gambit of people, that come to the park, and it would be unfair for them to not be able to enjoy any of it. So we look for the gluten-free buns. We have a plant-based Impossible Dog over there in Hot Dog Nation. We have a lot of gluten-free options. Even chips and cheese, I make sure I do the research to find out they're gluten-free. So we do take that into effect, especially with the rice bowl. We can vegan it up. I don't want to open this door, but if we've got a customer who's really got specific needs, then I can always go back to the kitchen and say, what can I do? How can I add this? What can we give them? And 99% of the time, they can pull it off.
Yeah.
So even though we are trying not to serve that one individual person, we want to. We want to be able to.
Right.
So to have those and knowing our products and knowing what we can serve to people that have dietary needs, we're just doing the best we can to try to make sure everybody can enjoy.
Yep. And going off of what David said with catering to people's needs, I do run into a lot of that when my kitchen cooks off for the suites. We've got 15 suites here at the park, and everybody puts in orders ahead of time, and in the notes they'll put in, gluten allergy or some kind of allergy, and we try to accommodate them as much as possible. And even then, too, every week I release a chef special, and it's a different chef special every week. So this week it's actually a Los Angeles-style street taco.
Really?
Yep.
How do you come up with the chef specials?
Really, it's just stuff that I sound good, and these are all glimpses of what I could potentially want to do next year.
Okay.
And kind of incorporate that into sweet packages and, packages that people order when they do reserve a suite. So it's just kind of a glimpse. And because we also do soccer as well, I have the chef special going on for 2 weeks, right? And so it just gives people a chance. And the first chef special that I did actually featured barbecue pork tenderloin. And it was absolutely amazing. And David's had it. Everybody has had it in the kitchen or who works here, and they absolutely love it. And that's actually...
Looks like we got something walking out here. What do we got?
That is actually...
Is this the Sopapilla Sundae?
This is it. This is the Vortex.
Oh, my gosh.
So we only did the one, but...
Wow. Okay, so everybody who's here can kind of see this. There's a giant sundae inside of a normal-sized baseball helmet. A lot of times you go to a ballpark and you get ice cream inside of a helmet. It's one of the mini ones. This is full size.
Yep.
Walk me through this, Joey.
Yep.
What am I looking at here?
So this is, again, David came to me and he was like, "What can we come up with a signature item?" And I was just like, well, everybody does a signature savory item. Why don't we do a dessert? And I was like, well, what will sell? I'm like, ice cream. I was like, but what can we do with an ice cream? And so I was just like, what if we did a sopapilla bowl?
He's not telling the truth. So Joey's background, one of Joey's strong points is actually desserts. So actually I came in and said, how can I abuse your knowledge of desserts. So he's telling it the nice way to make me look good, but Joey's actually got a massive culinary background in desserts, and so I'm literally abusing his knowledge to make this idea, and he's just nice enough to not say that.
Yeah, I probably could have mentioned it earlier, but not only do I have culinary side, but I also have my associates in pastries and baking. I'm French pastry trained.
You are a talented man, my friend.
So next year we're looking at beignet, doing fresh beignet out of a stand. We're looking at doing a lot of things next year. One of the problems we have at Werner Park is Chef Joey is dealing with the last chef's menu. So my first year I was dealing with what was in the park, and I can only add little things. These are a glimpse into my second year, and then my third year I'll be bringing more things. Well, next year Joey has the opportunity to create the menu from the top down and bottom, and that's what we're trying to showcase with some of these things that are personal to us too, like his knowledge in desserts, things like that. If we can't come up with a signature hot dog, I guarantee he can come up with a signature dessert that will end up on one of these websites, and that's really what we're shooting for.
Right.
So we don't know if it's going to go in a helmet. We don't know if we're going to add more to that. We may add some white chocolate chips. We may add some even Rice Krispie treats. We don't know what we're going to add to it. But that is just the beginning of the idea, and that is the one bowl we've had to show it off to you in.
Okay, so before this thing melts, because you guys are here and you are live, if anyone wants this, go for it. You want it, man? Come get it. Yeah, share this with your dad.
We're not responsible for dental visits.
Yeah, it actually has every single topping that we have.
I love
in
that.
there.
It looks
so
delicious.
Yeah, and we're playing on the name. Yeah, it is a Sunday. Yeah.
Have at it, man.
And we're playing with the name, but I think the Vortex.
The Vortex, yes,
has won.
Okay, we're kind of up against the clock here, but I got to ask you guys one more question. I mean, obviously, ballpark food has come so far in the past 10 years, really even the last 5 years, even just the last couple of years. We've got chefs like you who have restaurant experience, who have pastry experience, who are coming and bringing that to the ballpark. I love to see the evolution. When you look to the future of ballpark food, what do you see?
I just see bigger is better.
Bigger is better.
I mean,
I can't tell that.
Right. It's just a full helmet full of ice cream. I mean, the kid is going to town.
How is it? I think he likes it.
Nice.
What about you, Dave? What do you see the future?
I think for me, it is creating new stands that offer not only specialty but homegrown favorites, but being able to come in and you can have. I mean, I don't know about seafood. I don't know about Nebraska, but I mean, honestly, the filet mignon thing was not a joke.
Yeah.
I have an ability to make some filet mignon at the Philly carts, so getting these specialty carts where you have the pickiest family in town, each one of them can split off and go to the stand of their choosing, and it's new every time they get an item. So their one trip can start out with chicken bacon ranch. The next time they can have one of these hot dogs in that same stand. So that stand is a restaurant within itself, and that's where I would like to see the park go, where each one of these stands is able to offer restaurant quality or above restaurant quality with that same type of menu to be able to just, I don't know, cater to every single person that we have that comes in, from the out-of-town teams to the in-town teams. And, we've even thought about taunting the other teams where we eat your own opponent, where we bring in their food and we serve it. And we do it better than their stadium does. That's the ultimate goal. I don't know if we'll do that next year or not.
That's what I meant by bigger is better.
We're gonna keep going. So,
well, I absolutely love what you guys have done with the food at Werner Park, that you're not resting on your laurels and saying burgers and hot dogs, but you're saying we're going to make these chef specialties. We are going to elevate the food here. Thank you so much for your hard work and the hard work that I know you're going to put in the future to continue to do this. Can we just give it up for Chef David and Chef Joey? All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
I'll let you go do your real jobs now.
All right.
All right, everybody. We've got Marty Cordero here. He is the president of the Omaha Storm Chasers. And what's your relationship with food? Do you consider yourself a foodie, or is food just calories that you need to consume to get through the day? What's your relationship with food?
I've long said that I eat to exist. Part of that is because I don't ever stop. I don't slow down. But ballpark food, Acadian, Southern Cajun food, good Southern cooking. Yeah, I'm in. And I really love seafood. Lots of seafood, shrimp, fish. Yeah.
So, Chef,
so I live in Omaha for seafood, right? Yeah, right in the middle of the country.
You chose the perfect place to live. So Chef David and Chef Joey were just on, and they were, talking about all the ways that they've elevated ballpark food and kind of created things that you would not have seen here 5 years ago. How important, or what excites you when you look around this stadium and you see the different options? What excites you about the offerings here at Werner Park?
Well, I love our Philly cart right behind home plate. Rodney's been here a number of years. They've got a beef Philly, a chicken Philly, there's a Reuben as part of that, and I think they're doing steak sandwiches starting tonight. So that's a staple every night. Papillion Taco Guy was new last year, and that's been a big hit with his walking tacos. Papio Pit Barbecue on the first base side has been here for a number of years. I'm not sure how many, Dan, but they're always a big hit. And look, I'm a jalapeno cheddar sausage type of a guy, so I just give me a good Rotella's bun, give me the Johnsonville jalapeno cheddar sausage, and that's something that I like here at Werner Park.
When you look at creating a great experience for fans, how important is it to not only offer a great product on the field and comfortable, seating and everything, but also to have that that excellent food? How much does food influence the experience at a sporting event?
Oh, it's there, especially minor league baseball. About 30 to 35% of our fan base comes for baseball. So that means the vast majority are coming for anything else. It could be the food. It could be the giveaway tonight that we're giving away jerseys. It could be just the experience in the ballpark. It could be because of a company outing or some type of nonprofit event. So food plays a part in everything we just talked about, whether it's entertaining as a group or individually going up to a concession stand. So, it's paramount. I mean, one of the promotions that I miss most is when we opened, we used to have the promotion at Hot Dog Nation called Eat Your Opponent. And it was the flavor of hot dog from whatever city. So, for example, it was an andouille sausage when we played the New Orleans club and dressed in all kind of toppings that were New Orleans based. And when we played Nashville, it was a regular hot dog dressed with pulled pork and coleslaw. And that was really my favorite. That ended up becoming the Cordago, and
well done.
And then we added some barbecue sauce onto that. So yeah, we've been doing things for a while, but I tell you, Chef Joey and David have really worked hard this year, and David last year, to bring some new experiences, and it looks like they brought some things out here.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Chefs were just on the podcast. They're talking about how they have a grill here where they're grilling burgers right now that people are going to be eating, in 5-10 minutes. They've got a smoker where they're smoking brisket in-house. These are things that you are not normally finding at a ballpark. How excited are you to see them taking just traditional ballpark food and pushing it in a new direction?
Oh, I think it's great. And, that experience can be enhanced by good food, but you're just mentioning everything being prepared fresh. Great food takes it to the next level.
Right. All right, I know that you're a busy man. This is a game night, so I'm not going to take any more of your time, but Marty Cordero, thank you so much for a few minutes of your time and coming on the podcast.
Well, Dan, thanks for what you do with food, and appreciate you being at the ballpark. I know it's the first time we've done this, and appreciate you being here.
I would love to do it again.
Awesome.
All
Thanks,
right.
Dan.
Omaha, as always, thanks for eating with us.